like to welcome you to Boy Meets Wellness, a podcast that discusses the complexities, celebrations, and challenges of building a wellness ritual as a BOI, a person who is born obviously incredible. You are now listening to Boy Meets Wellness with poet, motivational speaker, and wellness lover, Evolve Benton.
BOI, born obviously incredible, especially when you wear it pretty.
Hello, Boy Meets Wellness community. We are back at it again after a few weeks of a break. I want to thank you all for continuing to support the podcast. My coaching business, Speaking for Profit Academy, is growing, and I needed the last couple of weeks to simply regroup. During this time, I hired my first virtual assistant, and also we added 2 additional coaches to the program. The growth has made our program so much better, and our clients are seeing some amazing results like speaking for Indeed and even Pinterest. I also started working with a coach to support me with building out some email sequences and my communication to my audience. His name is Vladimir Adonis, and he is actually our guest for today's interview. This episode and the next few episodes will be a special segment that we are calling the Speaker's Room Live. We hope that you enjoyed this perspective of entrepreneurship. You can watch interviews like this every Wednesday live in my free group, 6-Figure Speaking Business. I will be sure to leave the link into the show notes. Before jumping into the episode, I want to share the Black Business of the Week with you. The Black Business of the Week is Tribal Wealth. They're a fly clothing brand owned actually by my friend, Free, and it shows the beauty in staying fly and staying connected. I recently got one of their hoodies, and I heard that I only got one of 2 that they've made, so everything is very rare, and I love it. So check them out at tribalwealth.shop today. Our wellness tip of the week is to spring into some movement and get outside. Spring is the perfect time to explore new areas to hike and love on nature. An app that I absolutely love to use when looking for new trails is called All Trails. You can put in your location and it will show you local trails and even the skill level needed for it. So download that app and go on a hike today. This episode is brought to you by Mar Media Productions. Mar Media is a media production company that produces, publishes, and uplifts the stories, arts, and journeys of queer and trans people of color and the people who make our lives incredible. Now for our interview with Vladimir Adonis. Hey folks, welcome to the Speaker's Room Live. I'm Evolve Benton, the Speaking for Profit coach. Super pumped to be here today with Vladimir to talk a little bit about, how do you get your mid-ticket offers started, right? Whether that is ebook or whether that's an online course, how do you get things started and how do you jump in? If you're listening now, just put hashtag live in the comments. If you're listening in the near or dear future, put hashtag replay. Would love to be able to tap in and know who's around, watching us, talking to us, and getting this good knowledge, because that's what we're here to do, right? I believe in the art of giving, because if we give back, we receive. And that's one tool that we got to use for abundance, right? So good evening. Great evening, someone put. Good to see y'all. Vladimir, please introduce yourself to the community. Name, where are you located, and what brings you joy?
Well, thank you for having me, Evolve. I appreciate it. My name is Vladimir Adonis. I'm located in Boynton Beach, Florida. And the thing that brings me joy is family. And the thing that brings me joy is just the basic things in life. Like, I'm able to breathe fresh air. I have a place to live, and I just have the basic things in life. Those are the things that bring me joy. The other thing that really brings me joy is progress. Being able to see, okay, a year ago, there were some things that I didn't have in place. However, today I have those things in place, and just seeing that progress from year to year. Those are the things that bring me joy.
Nice. So I really want to thank you because, you and I connected probably last year, and you have a really cool Facebook group that I got the opportunity to be a part of. I've met some amazing people in there doing great work. I think it's called what, the Black Creators
Black
Connect.
Creators Connect. Yes.
Black Creators Connect. Yeah. If anyone is a Black person, right? Because it is for the Black folks, right? Come through if you're entrepreneur creative. It's a great space to be, and we'll be sure to leave that in the comments. But what I really appreciate about you is you always show love for people's birthdays, right? And you always show up and give us these amazing live trainings about mid-ticket offers and funnels and all this stuff that I honestly don't know and don't want to learn. So can you tell folks a little bit about your coaching business in particular? How do you serve clients? What are you serving people to build?
Sure. Is it okay if I give them like a 2-minute version of my backstory so that way they can understand how I've gotten to this point?
Yeah, that would be great.
Cool. I'd love to kind of just share my backstory. So kind of like most people, at one point I had a job. Now, my job was an amazing job. They treated me very well. I worked as an executive for a small university. I did that for about 12 years. But 5 years into that role, though, I said to myself, this is not something that I want to do indefinitely. So because that wasn't something that I wanted to do indefinitely, I had to answer a couple of questions. The first question I had to answer is, if you don't continue in this role, what do you do next? And the way that I answered that question is I said, I want to go into entrepreneurship. This was 7 years ago. And saying that you want to be an entrepreneur is vague and it's broad because you can do a million different things, right? So I had to refine that statement. And the way that I refined that statement is I said to myself, I want to go into a business that's evergreen and a business model that's going to be around for a very long time. Now, 7 years ago, the business model that made sense to me was the dating industry. I noticed that the dating industry was a very viable industry, in that if I launched a business in the dating industry, perhaps that could be a vehicle that I can use to go into entrepreneurship full time. I'm not a programmer. I don't know how to code. So what I did is I hired and I paid a guy $30,000 to build me a dating / a dancing type of a website. A year and a half from the time that I paid this individual, I launched the site. But to my surprise, though, I had a hard time. I had a hard time getting members, and I had a hard time growing it. And keep in mind, I paid $30,000 for this project. So I wasn't going to just say, oh, well, this doesn't work out. Let me just move on and go do something else, right? I had a lot of skin in the game. So I went to work. I went to work to learn how to do lead generation, how to do marketing, how to do Facebook ads, so that this business could be somewhat viable. 7 months into that journey, things started to pick up and things started to grow. But unfortunately, because of copywriting reasons, I had to shut down the entire site. The members of that site had the ability to upload content such as videos and music videos, and to avoid legal ramifications, I had to shut the entire site down. So I was like, okay, that's kind of a bummer, because I thought this was going to be the thing that's going to allow me to be in entrepreneurship full time. So
this was after you invested $30,000?
That was after I invested $30,000. Yes.
Oh, let me clutch my pearls. Goodness. That is, wow. The sense of recovery. So I know we're going to hear that next in the story, but I just had to pause for a moment and just reflect on that. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
wow.
it was a big deal. It was a big deal. It was one of my biggest learning lessons. So I decided to pivot. And the thing that I decided to do next is I decided to take what I had learned from a lead generation and a marketing standpoint, and I started to host workshops. I started to use Meetup, and I started to host workshops. And I did those workshops for a couple of reasons. Reason number one, I said to myself, perhaps some of the things that I learned, other entrepreneurs may desire to learn that same thing. And then reason number two, I said to myself, maybe one day I can turn that into a business. So after hosting close to 60 workshops, validating my craft, validating my concept, I decided to take the plunge and leave my job and to do this full time. So that's my story. And that's how I got into what I'm doing today.
Wow, that's really cool. And that was really brave of you. So one of the words that you used earlier, and I would love for you to explain it to our audience, because, we have different folks and different levels of learning around building a business primarily online, right? Is the word evergreen. What does evergreen mean when it comes to folks creating an offer?
What evergreen means to me is that I can create an asset. So an asset could be a 30-minute video, and I can use that 30-minute video as part of my marketing process. I can have that 30-minute video engage with individuals, explain to individuals what it is that I do, help them to understand the value around my program, my offers, and then allowing those individuals to either purchase right from the website or allowing those individuals to go ahead and schedule a time on my calendar. Evergreen means it's as hands-free as possible. It means that I create the process once. So if I'm creating an ad, I create the ad once, and then I create the asset that goes on the landing page or the website, right? And I create the content that goes through the marketing process. I create that once, and I'll allow that to attract people and to engage with individuals and to allow those individuals to take the next step with me.
This is super powerful. For folks who are watching this that are speakers, this is gold. This is golden information, right? Imagine putting on a masterclass or a live training, right? You're doing it maybe for free or for pay, right? And putting it on a cycle where you can consistently get feedback from your audience to either get on a call with you, right? To sell them into one of your offers, or to get paid over and over again, right? If you got that $47 masterclass, you can do that in a promo cycle because you've already created the assets. Like, this is gold. So tell us a little bit about what is considered like a mid-ticket offer, what's considered high ticket. We hear all this language, but what does it really mean?
So my definition, the way that I define a mid-ticket offer, because that was the first thing that I launched with when it was time for me to make that transition, and I still have that, now, is anything from $2,000 to $4,000. That is when you offer your service, you offer your expertise for that price point. And one of the reasons why, I like that price point is that price point affords me the ability to go out and do what we call paid ads. So let's just say if I'm offering one of my services and one of my offers for $2,500, I don't mind spending $300-$400 on ads to receive a new client. So then it allows me the ability to go ahead and scale as well. So that's why I like that number, and I like mid-ticket offers.
Great, great. So when folks are thinking about creating particularly a mid-ticket offer, where are you on the support part of that process, right? Like, where should people come to you? Is it when they got the idea? Is it when they've already got the product together? Do you take them from the beginning to the end? What do you particularly specialize in?
So I've been able to take individuals from start to finish. So the only thing that I can't provide an individual with is a knowledge and or skill and or expertise. So if you have a knowledge and or expertise that already solves a problem in the marketplace, so it has to solve a problem in the marketplace. And then the second thing that has to take place is that people have to already be buying something very similar to whatever it is that you are offering. Provided you have that, then my goal is to help you to craft that into what we call a mid-ticket offer. And one of the first things that we work on is we make sure that we position it so that way it solves a problem in the marketplace. Now, some people will pay $100 for you to go ahead and help them to solve the problem. And at the same time, you'll have other individuals that'll pay you thousands of dollars. Let me go ahead and give you an example. I alluded to the fact earlier that I worked for a university in my local area. It was a small private university, and that small private university solved the problem in the marketplace. So let's just say for nursing students, for example, students had the ability to go to a local community college. I'm going to use some numbers just for example purposes. They can pay $100. Let's just say $100 per credit or $200 per class. However, what I noticed in the 12 years that I worked there is that those same students would come to our university and pay us 10, 15 times more money to go ahead and go through the exact same process. Now, why would they do that? A couple of reasons. Reason number one is that from a wait list standpoint, a student had the ability to start the nursing program with us, say the waiting period was just say a couple of months or a year, whereby at the local community college or the state college, they would wait years to get into the program. So we solved the problem of allowing them to start the program at a much shorter time frame. So the waiting game wasn't as long. The other thing is that the completion period, the students at that university at the time, they had the ability to complete their degree in half the amount of time. So because the university understood that about their marketplace, and because the university knew that that was a problem that existed in the marketplace, they had individuals that paid 10, 15, and in some cases 20 times more the amount.
Thank you for sharing that. One of my mentors always says people pay more money and they end up paying more attention, right? So one of the reasons that, speaking for Profit Academy, I would say is a mid-ticket offer is because we really want people to show up and be accountable. And what I have found is when people invest their money, they actually show up, right? Like when they pay only $100, they show up with $100 attitude. And sometimes that means that they don't show up at all. They'll just buy your product and kind of disappear, right? So let's talk about advertisement. You mentioned that, right? Like being able to leverage Facebook ads, Instagram ads. What does one have to do to get started? I know that you got to like start a business account, right? Like with Facebook and with Instagram, but what kind of money do people need to have together in order to step into that realm?
So the money part, we usually start off with, say, $10 a day. And what $10 a day allows us to do is just allows us to go through a test period. Now, test period can be about 5 to 7 days. And some of the things that we're just testing audiences. There's a couple of different types of audiences. So the first type of audience you have is an audience of individuals that's already engaged with you and your brand. So if someone's visited your Facebook business page, those type of individuals are considered to be audiences who have an idea of who you are. People who've engaged with your Instagram page, those individuals know who you are. And people who've engaged with your websites, provided you are tracking who those individuals are, those people know who you are as well. Those individuals are a group of audience that you can go ahead and retarget using Facebook ads. Not only can you target those individuals using Facebook ads, you can also tell Facebook to, hey, can you find me people that are very similar to those individuals? Why? Because those individuals have already engaged with you. Furthermore, if they've already provided you with their contact information, such as email addresses, or if they've already purchased from you, you want to go ahead and try to allow Facebook to mirror those type of audiences, because those type of audiences, those individuals have already shown the ability to make micro commitments with you. So that's one of the first places we start, is to identify who's going to, make those micro commitments with you, because those are the individuals that you want to go ahead and focus on and try to scale with.
So it's a lot of testing involved, right? Really figuring out where your audience is and the feedback and getting that from them. But I'm assuming you got to put together something to share, right? So what goes into really putting together a really good ad? What are some tips that you can give to folks who might be started with Facebook ads or thinking about it? What do they need to do to put together a solid ad?
So the thing that they need to do to put together a solid ad is they have to take into account there's different stages of the marketing process. So the first stage of the marketing process is the awareness stage. And the awareness is simply you launching the ad to allow more people to know about you. Now, of the individuals that become aware of you and they see your ad, some of those individuals will become interested. So then if some of those individuals will become interested, how do you gauge that interest? The way that you best gauge that interest is giving those individuals right there in your ad. So if I'm launching an ad today, I'm going to say, hey, free video reveals how to do X, Y, and Z, because some of the free video reveals how entrepreneurs can use video marketing to get more clients. Well, if I put an ad out there with that, it's going to allow individuals who are entrepreneurs and who desire to use video marketing to make a small and a micro commitment with me, right? So I'm giving those individuals a call to action because I want to be able to identify. I want people to raise their hand, and I want to be able to identify right there in my ad the people who are interested. Those who are interested, they're going to have the opportunity to go ahead and click on that ad and go to, say, my landing page. So one of the first things that your ad needs to be able to do is it needs to be able to call out to the target audience, and it needs to be able to identify the individuals that are interested, right? So that's the first thing that it needs to be able to do. So you have the awareness stage, making people aware of who you are. You have the interest stage phase, allowing individuals who are interested, giving them a call to action so to be able to identify if they are interested. The next phase is you have the lead generation phase. The lead generation phase usually happens via your site, via your landing page. Now, one of the things that I did when I first started is I was sending people to, say, my website, and that's not the right thing to do. And the reason why that's not the right thing to do is because your site does and say a lot of wonderful things about you, and it just creates confusion. You don't want an individual to be confused, and you want to go ahead and create as much congruency as possible. The person expressed interest in video marketing when they arrive to your site. Allow them to provide you with their contact information so that way they can go ahead and ascend and take the next step with you. So your landing page should have a single focus, and it should allow an individual the opportunity to become a lead, because you have people that are going to be aware of you, people that are going to be interested, and people that's going to want to become a lead. And then after those individuals become a lead, it's just a matter of you nurturing that lead and then allowing those individuals to go through whatever your conversion process is. If your conversion process is they go to a landing page and buy something, you're going to send them there. Or if your conversion process is you want to get them on the phone because you want to go ahead and have that one-on-one conversation prior to enrollment, then you can go ahead and send them there as well.
Great feedback. Thank you. Thank you. So when we're talking about getting people on a phone or putting them into, a shopping cart, right? I know a lot of folks will say when it comes to offers that are over, $2,000, right, that you should get them on the phone because a lot of folks aren't going to necessarily click and buy something without a conversation. Do you feel like that is true, or have you seen clients be able to get folks to actually buy those offers without a phone call?
So the clients that buy stuff without a phone call are the clients that are properly pre-framed, meaning that they've been in your world for quite some time. They quite frankly know what the offer is because they've been presented to it. They've been presented with the offer one way or another. And because there are more, they're hot per se, meaning that they're not a cold lead that doesn't know anything about you. They don't understand they don't understand the problem that you solve and none of those things. So an individual who is further down the funnel, have already engaged with you, consumed your content, those individuals will indeed buy something that's higher than $2,000. The other individuals, I would say you would send those individuals to a phone call.
Nice. So what we're doing, right, essentially when we're getting people into our ads, right, and bringing them to landing pages, bringing them to trainings, is we're warming them up, right? Like we're introducing ourselves to them, letting them get to know our work. And then essentially we might get them on a call or we might get them, to buy. But what happens when people don't want to buy? Like, how do you support people with making their offer, I guess, irresistible, as some marketers say? How do you support your clients with that in particular?
The way that we support our clients with that is staying in front of our target audience. So you can retarget individuals. So an individual who went to your landing page with the goal of providing you with their contact information, they didn't. It doesn't mean that that person is 100% not interested. It just means that perhaps that person needs to see you more time. So it would make sense in that case to show that individual more ad and retarget that individual so that way that person can have the opportunity to go back and visit your site. The other component is that if an individual consumed one of your free content and for whatever reason they didn't take the next step with you, it could just mean that they need to see more content. So there's a way to show those individuals more content, because some of what content does in most cases is content sometimes addresses objections, right? So if the person consumed a piece of content and that piece of content probably helped them to solve a problem, but there's still some questions that they may have, there's still some objections that they may have, we can go ahead and serve those individuals more content so that way it can address the objection and allow those individuals to ascend. And then sometimes it might just make sense to just reposition the offer altogether. So, if you're offering an individual something around video marketing and you're using it as a medium or a mechanism for that individual to be able to get clients, maybe that person don't want to be on video. So can you repurpose that and say, hey, you know what? The same content that you would have been able to use on video, you can use it on the sales page. I'm going to walk you through how to create an evergreen sales page. So those are some of the things that you can do to kind of just reposition the offer.
Beautiful, beautiful. I appreciate you so much because you're so detailed and you really think about the experience of not just the customer, but the person that we're serving, right? Our client, our prospect, our learner, depending on who we're calling them. And I know a lot of folks probably are watching this and they're like, what does this have to do with speaking? Folks, I want you to know that when we talk about speaking for profit, we are not just talking about speaking from a stage in front of a bunch of people while the light shines on you. You can build out your own programs, whether that's a coaching program, an online course where you share your expertise, and we consider that speaking for profit as well. And these are some of the tools that you can utilize for that. So let's shift a little bit and talk about your offer in particular, right? And shameless plug, y'all, I am working with him, right? We are working together, right, to elevate and to take my business to the next level. What do you particularly like about coaching, and why did you decide to build your business around supporting people in the way that you do?
Coaching is transformational. There's been plenty of times in my life where I said to myself, okay, I know I have the knowledge, I know I have the expertise, but for whatever reason, I can't reach or get to the next step. And it was a coach that in all of those instances that I was able to lean on and that I was able to work with that allowed me to kind of just pivot and take the next step. So I desire to do the same thing when I work with other individuals, because the potential, the expertise, in most cases, the assets are already there. So it's just a matter of transferring that knowledge to that individual so that that person can become just that much more self-sufficient, and so that that person solve that problem and be able to move and be able to kind of just take the next step. So transformation, that's the thing that I like about coaching.
So you mentioned in your narrative that you left your job, right? Which is a big thing. I'm still holding on to my 9 to 5. I'm holding on. I know, we'll have to break up at some point. I'm not ready for that. It just happens, right? Within entrepreneurship. It also just happens within the work. I work in higher education as well. How did it feel to leave your job? And what are some tips that you'll give to the entrepreneurs that got that cash flow going, right? And the only reason they're really holding on to it is because of fear. What tips would you give?
It was definitely scary, but I knew in order to grow as an individual, in order to be able to say, because I have 2 kids, and some of the things I say to them all of the time is I say, I want you guys to work hard, and I want you guys to do things that are difficult. At some point, my role as an executive, I was an executive director for a small university. About 3 years into that role, I had figured out how to meet and or exceed all of those objectives. So to be quite honest, I wasn't really challenged. So because I wasn't challenged, I was, at home telling the little ones at the time, hey, I want you guys to work hard. I want you guys to do hard things. But I wasn't really working hard. I wasn't really doing anything that was challenging. Was it an easy decision? It was not an easy decision, but it was a decision that I felt as though I needed to make, because I started off as being the secretary for my industry, and I worked my way up to an executive, over a period of time. So I said to myself, if I can do that under the jurisdiction and under the umbrella and under some bureaucracy, my employer was amazing, to be honest with you. But, there's always some level of bureaucracy, right? If I could work my way up to an executive level under that umbrella and under that genre, then there's a lot that I can go ahead and accomplish, and I can go ahead and do, for myself. So those are the reasons why I said, hey, irregardless of fear, irregardless of the butterfly, I just want to be able to see what it's like to take that plunge.
Nice. Any tips you'll give for other folks that are thinking about taking that plunge?
So I would say just have a sales and or marketing process in place that has a certain level of predictability, meaning that that if I do these things over a period of time, so let's just say if you're going through the organic process, if I do these things over a period of time, over a period of 2 weeks, I know that if I do these activities, then I'm going to have some type of a cash flow. So don't go into it not knowing what those processes are. Don't go into it not knowing how you can go ahead and convert individuals out in the marketplace, because that's going to be the lifeline of the business. So have some type of a process in place and have some type of idea of knowing that, hey, if I do X, Y, and Z and I do it over a period of time, I'll get a new client.
Nice. So let's talk about success, right? I would love to hear, what are some success stories that you've had in your own personal experience, right, with creating digital products, or that your clients have had? Because I'm sure that people are like, show me the money. What are people actually able to do with some of these strategies? What are we seeing on the back end?
Sure. So a couple of success stories. I work with an individual that was, and I know age is just an age thing, to be honest with you, but this individual came in with a lot of preconceived notion around age. And this individual is in their late 70s, didn't think that it was possible for them to launch a business in a brand new market and have a certain level of success. And after working with me, now this person I don't take credit for anyone's knowledge and or expertise, because they've gained that through experiences, they've gained that through on their own. But I was able to help this individual launch the online version of it after COVID hit. And this person continues to have success. So I'm very proud, of that. The other thing that I would say that I'm proud of from a client success standpoint is an individual who connected with me as a result of hearing my story of working at a university. This person worked at the same exact university, had made that transition, came to me, and I had a meeting, and I had my first coaching session with this individual. Within a week of working with me, this individual was able to make 5 times their return on investment. So those are the 2 things that come to mind. And those are the things that, that I think about. Success for me is I'm happy I did it. I'm happy that I made the transition, to be quite honest with you. Has it been easy? Was it easy? No, but I'm just glad that I can look back and say, okay, to me, that's success. I launched, I'm able to, to make things happen. To me, that's been my biggest success, is just launching and just making it happen.
Brilliant, brilliant. So I want to really thank you for, stopping by, being a part of this space, giving us so much knowledge, taking us down your journey. And I want to know, how can folks support you, right? Like, how can they support your work? If someone's watching this and they're like, you know what, I've been creating this online course, I got this offer, I can't figure out how to get in front of my ideal audience, I want to work with you. How do they do that?
Okay, so 2 ways. So currently I'm running a special right now, and that special is I'm helping individuals to create video marketing content / webinar content. So that special, you can go ahead and take advantage of that special by going to VLADADONIS /30 days, 30 days. So that's one way that you can go ahead and take advantage of something that I'm offering. I'm running a special based on that 30 days of coaching to get your video marketing or your webinar marketing content in place. The other way that you can work with me is you can take advantage of what I call a connection message method call. And essentially what we do via that call is we work on a connection process for you. So what does it look like for you to create a connection process marketing ad? And let's design that together. And let me show you the elements and the pieces that you need to be able to launch that. So 2 things will happen after we have that type of a call. Thing number 1, you'll say, you know what, thanks for the clarity. Now I know what I need to do to be able to go ahead and launch this on my own. Or thing number 2, you'll be like, you know what, I kind of like you, and I think perhaps you might be a good fit for me. And we'll discuss what it would be like for you to go ahead and work with me. But in any case, I want to be able to go ahead and give you that connection message, marketing strategy, so that way you can have clarity around how do you launch a marketing ad that's going to be successful. In order to take advantage of that, you just need to go to connectionmessage.com.
Brilliant. And we'll be sure to put that into the comments so that folks can click right over and get to it. This has been amazing, y'all. I want y'all to know that I actually had one of those connection calls last year, and I was so impressed that this year I was like, I got to jump back on it. I got me some cash flow, because you got to get your money up. Came back and I was like, hey, let's jump in and let's work together, right? So even if you don't decide to sign up right now, it's a great time to just think about your offer, think about your business. And Mr. Adonis can really help you, right, with being able to put together those missing pieces that you might not have. I really want folks to know that the power of being coached, right? The fact that you don't have to go through some of those roadblocks that other people have experienced. You don't have to go through some of that failure. I'm not saying you're not going to fail, because you are starting a business. So you're going to fail a couple of times, but you won't have to do the same failures. It's beautiful to have, and it's beautiful to have the breadth of knowledge. So thank you for being here. Anything else you want to tell the audience before we head out?
Just go for it. Just do it. Just make it happen. Thank you, Evolve, for giving me the opportunity to be on your platform. Appreciate it.
All right. Until next time, y'all. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Boy Meets Wellness. Stay connected on and off the show by following us online at Boy Meets Wellness. That's boy with an I. Until next